All right, now let's go to personality disorders, borderline as well as antisocial. As mentioned, borderline personality disorder is what people are usually referring to when they think of bipolar, where it's this uh, quicker shift in mood states. And so that's one of the key mark symptoms of BPD. It's being moody, sarcastic, bitter, and verbally abusive. May sometimes show intense and inappropriate anger, may be highly impulsive, and may engage in reckless and destructive behaviors. An unstable view of self may suddenly, like I said, display a shift in personal attitudes, interests, career plans, and often choice of friends. Relationships are intense and unstable and cannot tolerate the fear of being alone, fear of abandonment. Okay, and so one may engage in frantic efforts to avoid abandonment or separation. Affects about 1.4% of the U.S. population, and causes may include core personality traits such as impulsivity and emotional instability, show a high degree of heritability, and many individuals report childhood abuse. So this is a common theme, as you all can gather up until this point, where how impactful early childhood experiences can truly be. But overall, BPD is characterized by an instability in interpersonal relationships, self-image, and mood, as well as marked impulsivity. Then we've got antisocial personality disorder. This disorder is pretty interesting, and it's characterized by complete lack of regard for other people's rights or feelings. Now, people who have antisocial personality disorder, I do think that there's a definite stigma here where they think that all criminals just have ASPD. And that's not inherently the case. So we just kind of hear about certain individuals who have done some pretty heinous things, and we associate ASPD strictly with them. So that's where we get our interpretation of this disorder. But let's look more specifically at some of the symptoms. Repeatedly performing illegal acts, lying to or conning others, impulsivity and recklessness, irritability and aggressiveness, failure to act in responsible ways, lack of remorse, especially, overinflated sense of self, superficial charm. So initially, they may come off as charming, but it's ultimately to see how they can maybe potentially take advantage and basically gain your trust, so they can eventually see what they can get out of you. A lack of ability to empathize, that is especially true. Have very significant difficulty in taking the perspective of others and putting themselves in the shoes of others. Now, for an individual to officially receive a diagnosis, they have to be at least 18 years of age, and it's more common than you think. It's about 3.6% of the population. So for about every 100 people you meet, 3 to 4 of them may qualify for ASPD. And it's more common in males. All right. So some causes of ASPD may include some genetic factors, and as well as some brain anatomy, especially. Now, I'll probably start here with the brain anatomy. So, research has revealed a couple things. And this is important to know here, as well as it's just interesting in general. There's less activation in brain regions involved in the experience of empathy and feeling concern for others, as well as there's greater activation in a brain area involved in self-awareness, cognitive function, and interpersonal experience. Interesting. Now, when it comes to the emotional deficits, individuals with ASPD fail to show fear in response to environment cues that signal punishment, pain, or noxious stimulation. So, what's interesting with this is that, like, let's say, for example, we're pulled over by a police officer. Even though, it may have just been something simple, speeding, or we had a tail light out, we may experience like a slight fear in that moment. Whereas somebody with ASPD, they don't show that same level of fear that we do. And their initial thought may not be, oh, I'm kind of scared right now. It's like, what can I potentially do to manipulate this person to get out of the situation? All right. Now, when it comes to genetics, personality and temperament dimensions related to this disorder have a genetic influence. As well as adoption studies suggest antisocial behavior is determined by the interaction of genetic factors as well as adverse environmental circumstances, so both a nature and nurture development.